Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new. Thank you for taking time out of your day to check the video out. We have more PlayStation news, rumors, and leaks to go over and cover today, and we're starting here with Saros. So it's being reported here by Gamatsu that Saros Standard and Digital Deluxe editions were rated today in Taiwan, so pre-orders are likely opening soon. And, you know, considering the timing of this, the Game Awards are right around the corner. We suspect Sony's going to be showing up with a couple of trailers, a couple of things that they want to show off at this time. I think a new pre-order trailer for Saros makes complete sense. I mean, we have a release date for the game, but pre-orders haven't opened up yet. It'll be interesting to see what the Digital Deluxe editions end up containing. But yeah, there you go. If you are hoping to see Saros soon, like a new trailer or anything along those lines, this seems to be pretty much confirmation that that's going to happen, and frankly, I can't wait. I think Saros looks amazing. Returnal was one of the best games that Sony released the entire generation, and I think Housemarque is obviously going to iterate on that with Saros, so yeah, I think we're in for a good one. We're going to move on to the next topic, though, which is a bit of a follow-up to what we covered yesterday. This comes once again from Moore's Law is Dead, who's been a really good and accurate source, seemingly, for PlayStation 6 information. And so this time we're talking about the big PSSR 2026 update. We're actually getting a little bit of insight from a developer as to like what this is actually going to do and how significant it's going to be. And so he says here, the game dev, this is what he told him, have a few updates for PSSR. Number one, there's an application called PSML Replay that Sony has given us for debugging glitches that pop up from PSSR. So Sony is aware that there are multiple big releases that have PSSR artifacting issues, and they are working on it. In fact, by now, Sony has more tools for PSSR than AMD does for FSR 3 and FSR 4. So that's pretty significant, I would say, the idea that they actually have a larger tool set for PSSR than AMD does for FSR. That's no joke. But the second thing they say here is something called Multi-Frame Super Resolution 2, or MFSR2, is now referenced in some documents we have access to. Internally, PSSR is called MFSR1. MFSR2 apparently uses an updated algorithm that reduces the need for some pieces of input data, decreases the amount of memory used, and shortens GPU processing time while delivering, allegedly, better image quality. It uses an entirely new API, too. This is not some 0.5 upgrade, it's huge. The third thing here is FSR4 and FSR3 continue to be mentioned separately from PSSR. PSSR remains on its own path. So it seems clear that the PS5 Pro will get an improved PSSR 2 in addition to FSR 4 support in 2026. It's a big upgrade, and they will reduce how often games have PSSR issues. So there you go. This is another, I would say, pretty significant update for this big 2026 PSSR 2 upgrade that's going to be hitting the PS5 Pro. I think what's most interesting about this is just how much emphasis is being put on like how this is like a full step change, it seems, when it comes to how developers are going to be able to utilize and leverage PSSR for their games. Because there's no denying that the first iteration of PSSR, while it has, I would say, shined in some examples, it's also been very lackluster and problematic in others, which is normal with these types of, AI machine learning upscalers. The first iterations are always the weakest and have the most problems, but it seems like Sony's been making some really good progress. So there you go. It's, anybody's guess as to when it's going to drop next year. It could be early next year, it could be later next year. I'm going to assume, considering how close in proximity it's going to be to the rollout of the PlayStation 6, assuming nothing gets delayed on Sony's end, I'm going to say it's probably at least going to be the first half of 2026. That's my guess anyway. But let me know what you think about this. Moving on to the next topic, we're talking about Hideo Kojima's PHYSINT. This is also likely going to be a PlayStation 6 exclusive. This is being reported by Genki Japan on X. He says Hideo Kojima jokes that since PHYSINT is a stealth game, he can make it while sleeping, but he says it will have new gimmicks and attempts to blur the lines between games and film. As for PHYSINT, since it's an espionage game, I can make it even while sleeping, he laughs. For example, there is a soldier who infiltrates. If they are spotted by the enemy, they are attacked. When taking out the enemy one by one, you use stealth. No matter how it plays out, it becomes fun and can be easy to make, but there's also a battle against that. This work will include new gimmicks and also take on the challenge to blur the lines between film and video games. We're thinking of working with film people not only in terms of the cast but also staff, but I do wonder how it will turn out. Times are changing quickly these days, so the social structures and themes that I'm trying to depict in the game might actually come sooner in reality. So that's what Kojima had to say about PHYSINT, and it's honestly really interesting to hear anything he has to say about this game because it's in such early development. But yeah, there's this major emphasis on how this game really wants to blend, the lines or blur the lines between gaming and film, and that doesn't surprise me at all. That's what Kojima's been doing this whole time, right? I mean, that's what you think about with MGS1 and how revolutionary that was, where that's what people felt like that was the first time we've ever gotten a more serious cinematic story to an extent. That's something you would only see in a movie, but it's in the form of a video game. It's really interesting to see that 40 years later since he entered the gaming industry, he's going to be trying to do that, I don't know, dare I say, one last time with PHYSINT, right? So yeah, we'll see how it does turn out. But we also have a little bit of an update on OD, which is the horror game. And this is, again, from Genki Japan. Hideo Kojima says that OD is not a standard horror game and will be something nobody has ever seen before. He says they have hidden a lot of hints in the trailer for OD Knock, and if you think about it for a long time, you might actually be able to figure it out. So just a little tease there of what OD will offer. I mean, we keep talking about the Game Awards because they're just a couple of days away now. I wouldn't be surprised if OD shows up at the Game Awards. Definitely interested in seeing more of this. Moving on from that, we have an interesting report here from Push Square. It says, in the formative years of the PS5 generation, Sony made a number of agreements with third-party developers to publish their projects. Deviation Games was one of them, but its game was canceled in early 2024. Now, footage of what it was working on has been published online. Now, obviously, before I go any further, I cannot show you this because, well, I think it's at a very high risk of getting, copyright struck and taken down by Sony, so I don't really want to risk it. But, this article will be linked down below, so you will be able to check out the footage if you're interested. It says here, leaked by Dusk Golem, 2 gameplay videos totaling more than 10 minutes of gameplay footage have been set live on YouTube. The project was apparently being made under the codename Draconis, and if you'd really been following the PlayStation rumor mill of the past few years, it's what some insiders have been referring to as the Ooze game, or Project Ooze. This is because the game was going to feature a lot of ooze, though according to Dusk Golem, what was being worked on at Deviation Games hasn't been turned into something else. It's now died completely as a full-on canceled game. And the reason why that piece of information is actually important is because we know that Jason Blundell and many of the Deviation developers are now under a newly formed PlayStation studio called Dark Outlaw Games, and some people naturally assumed that whatever they were working on at Deviation, they brought over to that studio and they're still working on it. But Dusk Golem, which I think, considering he just has the footage out here, very reliable in this instance. He's saying this is a full-on canceled game. This is not being turned into something else. And as for what the gameplay is, it's kind of interesting. It looks like a, third-person sci-fi shooter, and it's got slight Gears of War vibes to it, ever so slightly. It's interesting. It would have been, I think, interesting to see this game make it to the finish line, but for whatever reason it ended up getting canceled. Maybe it's for the best, but there you go. If you want to check out that footage, again, this will be linked down below. You can check it out. And we're going to move on to the final topic of the video here, which is yet another update on the Game Awards statue that nobody seems to know what game it's actually teasing. It's been confirmed that it's not Lords of the Fallen 2. So that's another game we can cross off the list here. And the reason why that's significant is because a lot of people really did believe that was the game being teased here. But the CEO of CI Games, who makes Lords of the Fallen, says, flattered so many think we're behind the statue. I can confirm it's not us. We're just as hyped as you are. Devs are praying it's something from software. Huge respect to them, and we dream of reaching that level one day. And he basically goes on to say how they're going to be showing more of Lords of the Fallen 2 soon. And yeah, you know, it's again kind of up in the air. It seemingly, I don't want to say it could be anything because we know multiple things it's not, but no one really, I think, has locked in what exactly this is. And I will continue to tell people, prepare yourself for disappointment, mainly because, I mean, you know, when something gets this much hype, people are really starting to, I think, fantasize about, oh my God, it's going to be, you know, like Bloodborne 2 or something like that. It's like, well, I think we should maybe calm down a little bit here. I'm not saying it couldn't be something great. It's just, you know how these things tend to go, right? Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative. If you did, be sure to leave it a like. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.